The Manhattan Federal Courthouse had seen its share of headline-hungry cameras. But on this gray morning, the marble corridors hummed with a static that felt almost supernatural, like the whole building was holding its breath. Reporters who usually bark questions into the void were whisper-throated, editors were triple-checking live-stream connections, and bailiffs exchanged looks that said, "Today is going to end up in a documentary." Then the heavy oak doors swung open, and a figure the world once equated with sequins and stadium-shaking bass lines crossed the threshold. No spotlight, no choreo, no entourage. Just Britney Jean Spears in a tailored black suit, shoulders squared, gaze fixed on the witness stand, as if it were the final stage she would ever need to conquer. Phones froze mid-tweet. Even the judge's gavel hovered in midair. The pop princess of a generation had arrived, not to perform, but to testify. And in that electric heartbeat, every person in the room knew we were about to watch history crack open from the inside. Britney's heels landed soft as raindrops, but each click felt like a countdown. 3, 2, 1, until silence collapsed and curiosity detonated. Diddy, seated at the defense table in a jacket worth more than most college tuitions, flicked a glance sideways that twitched between disbelief and dread. His attorney leaned in, whispering something urgent, but the superstar-turned-survivor never looked his way. She placed one hand on the cool wood, took her oath, and let decades of forced quiet simmer behind a single breath. When she spoke, it wasn't the glossy vocal run of Toxic or the sugary purr of "Baby One More Time." It was low, deliberate, scratched at the edges by too many locked doors and too many people who mistook silence for weakness. "I was told to stay quiet for most of my life," she began, voice steady as if reading a calm weather forecast. "They said it was for my protection. That was a lie. Today, the silence ends. If sound could break, the hush in that room fractured like thin glass. Journalists forgot their keyboards. Jurors lost the rhythm of breathing. And somewhere out in the hallway, a publicist dropped a phone that clattered like a final verdict. Britney rewound the world to September 2007, Vegas, pure nightclub, the night before the MTV Video Music Awards. Her supposed phoenix rise after 2 years of tabloid tailspins. She painted the scene with precision. Neon lights reflecting off champagne bubbles. Cassie celebrating her 21st in a VIP booth, and Diddy gliding through the crowd like he owned the air supply. He offered her a flute glass and said, "Just one. You'll be fine." That line echoed down the courtroom walls like a curse you can't scrub from memory. One sip, then vertigo. The room tilting, laughter elongating, edges softening until reality pixelated into nothing. Morning came like a prison warden. Heavy limbs, fragmented memories, duty calling. The VMAs. She staggered onto that stage in a glitter bra and black shorts she never approved, clutching the microphone while 13.2 million viewers watched her look half awake. Headlines screamed train wreck, late-night hosts served punchlines on silver platters, and fans mourned a fallen idol. But Britney told the jury it was never an accident. It was an orchestrated humiliation ritual designed to make the world doubt her sanity so that a conservatorship could slide into place like cuffs cloaked in legalese. She looked at Diddy and said plainly, "You smile while it happened. Because my public collapse was your green light." She pivoted to the machinery behind the curtain. TriStar Entertainment, Lou Taylor, Robin Greenhill, a trio she labeled the architects of my cage. Lou, she alleged, drafted the blueprint. Isolate Britney, declare risk, seize the purse strings. Robin, with a resume slicker than an oil spill, handled the quiet money. Wires out of Diddy's accounts in the shadows where favors are bought, secrets are stored, and artists are processed like assets. Greenhill's name, she said, kept flashing in lawsuit spreadsheets that tracked hush payments and NDA buyouts. Evidence that the same playbook used to muzzle other women traveled straight into Britney's bank statements. She spoke of boardroom emails where her medical sedation schedule and her performance calendar were negotiated in the same thread, as though sedation were just another lighting cue. "They call me unstable," she told the court, then pumped me so full of prescriptions I forgot the year, the day, even my children's school schedule. Stability was never the goal, compliance was. Then came the footage reveal. A former TriStar employee, guilt-stricken and tired of guarding ghosts, delivered a clandestine hard drive. Raw security videos, timestamp September 8th, '07, Pure Nightclub. The screen allegedly shows Britney dancing, accepting the now infamous glass from a man in a gray suit later identified as one of Diddy's assistants, then slumping as three other men encircle her and steer her out of frame like crew hands moving a prop off stage. Those files, Britney testified, were locked in TriStar's vaulted storage under the chilling label insurance reels, blackmail currency designed to ensure any whistle who dared to blow it would choke instead. She recounted overhearing staff whisper about similar reels featuring other chart toppers, party girls, even reality TV ingenues, their destinies held hostage on thumb drives. The jury's eyes widened as though absorbing a conspiracy thriller in real time. A loyalty loop where silence buys access, access protects silence. An artist who asked questions vanished from rotation like songs pulled off a playlist. Britney lingered on the lost years, 13 of them, when her world shrank to medication alarms, supervised FaceTimes with her sons, and the sterile spin of the commuter van that drove her between wellness centers she likened to minimum security prisons. She recalled lawyers handing her invoices showing hundreds of thousands funneled quarterly into TriStar's pockets while she received a $2,000 weekly allowance, smaller than the wardrobe budget for one backup dancer on a Vegas residency she herself was headlining. She spoke of signing forms she never had time to read, of being told, skip a pill and you'll never see your kids again, of overhearing conference calls where brand deals used her name while she had no legal standing to negotiate her own sandwich order. Each detail fell like a hammer on the myth that the conservatorship was paternal protection. I wasn't recovering, she said. I was revenue. The letter came next, creased at the folds like a relic smuggled from another lifetime. Dated 2009, ink wavering in places where tears must have hit the page, addressed simply Sean. She read it out loud, voice vibrating but unbroken. I hope whatever they promised you is worth the moment you toasted my downfall. You knew the trap was set. You watched me walk into it. The courtroom inhaled as if on one set of lungs. Diddy stared at the defense table's polished surface as though searching for an escape hatch that wasn't there. Britney folded the paper, slipped it back into her pocket, and told the judge she'd kept it hidden in a makeup case for 14 years, a private verdict waiting for a public sentencing. She painted the ripple effect. After her VMA crash landing, Diddy allegedly phoned Lou Taylor and said, "She's too far gone." The public saw what they needed. 2 days later, paperwork floated through the LA Superior Court system fast enough to singe. Powers of attorney shifted, medical directives sprouted, and by February 2008, the conservatorship was stamped, sealed, delivered. Tabloids fixated on shaved heads and umbrella assaults, while the real story, an empire transferring from its rightful owner to a web of handlers, slipped under the radar like a submarine. Britney compared herself to an ATM wired for perpetual payout, her PIN codes known to everyone but her. I lost $100 million while they called it protection, she said, each syllable a stone hurled through the stained glass of celebrity worship. Yet the tide turns when one person dares to name names in a room sworn to truth. Britney's testimony didn't just allege misconduct. It cracked the dam holding back decades of whispered rumors about party culture, power imbalances, and the commodification of female breakdowns. By lunchtime, #insurance reels trended on X. By sunset, at least 4 entertainment attorneys had scheduled press conferences hinting at new plaintiffs. And somewhere in Beverly Hills, a handful of label executives probably rehearsed statements that begin with "we had no idea." Britney, meanwhile, stepped down from the stand, not with the choreography of a comeback tour, but with the grounded poise of someone who has nothing left to lose and therefore can finally win. Her eyes scanned the rows of spectators, many wiping away tears they didn't realize were coming, before she uttered a coda made for a million pull quotes. I am not crazy. I was caged, and now the door is open. Outside, news vans revved like drag racers, Bluetooth earpieces crackled, and the internet's wildfire had already leapt continents. Late-night hosts rewrote monologues in real time. Advocacy groups drafted bullet point manifestos, and fans who grew up tracing Britney's dance steps in bedroom mirrors found themselves practicing a different move, raising their voices. The entertainment industry, a beast that usually shrugs off scandal with last night's red carpet shrug, actually flinched. Because the star who once symbolized bubblegum escapism had weaponized her narrative into something explosive, proof that glitter can cut deeper than knives when the wearer decides to sharpen it. By midnight, think pieces bloomed like mushrooms. Was Britney's saga an isolated horror or a symptom of systemic rot? How many pop princesses have been minted, marketed, and silently maneuvered into contractual straitjackets under the guise of guidance? Unnamed sources hinted at NDA-sealed settlements, mysterious hiatuses, and anxious A-listers suddenly calling their lawyers to review some paperwork. Streaming algorithms pushed nostalgic Britney hits up the charts, but listeners heard them differently now. Each hook twinned with the echo of a woman forced to lip-sync her life until she reclaimed the mic in a court of law. And somewhere in the shadows of that same industry, individuals who once toasted to someone else's downfall likely tasted the metallic panic of accountability creeping up the back of their throats. As dawn tinted the skyline pink over New York, the courthouse steps still throbbed with leftover energy. Fans held handmade signs that read, "We hear you now," and a street performer blasted stronger through a portable speaker, turning the sidewalk into an impromptu mosh pit of catharsis. Reporters signed off their live shots, noting that federal investigators had quietly collected briefcases of new evidence before the janitorial staff even finished sweeping courtroom 26B. Meanwhile, Britney, shielded by tinted window SUVs, headed to an undisclosed location, not a penthouse soiree, not a secret rehab, but somewhere ordinary, perhaps to eat pancakes with extra syrup, because no one could tell her no anymore. For the first time in 13 years, she didn't need a chaperone to approve her hunger. And this is where you, watching on the other side of the screen, get to decide how the next verse goes. Maybe you'll click away and forget. Another celebrity saga scrolled past before the algorithm serves the next dopamine hit. But maybe you'll remember the hush that filled a marble room when a woman who'd been sold as a spectacle discarded every script and told the raw, unauto-tuned truth. Maybe you'll ask why the entertainment you love sometimes feasts on the performers you adore. Maybe you'll realize that stardom without sovereignty is just a gilded cage, and every streaming play, every concert ticket, every tabloid click is a tiny vote for how the system treats its stars. Because if Britney's testimony proved anything, it's that silence is expensive, truth is combustible, and the most unforgettable pop anthem of 2025 might not be a song at all. It might be a courtroom monologue that blew the speakers out on an industry that forgot its humanity could hit pause. So cue the outro graphics, roll the subscriber bell, splash the like button with confetti, do all the YouTube things, but carry this headline deeper than the thumbnail. A woman once choreographed by managers just choreographed a reckoning by herself. And we'll be here front row on the internet, watching to see who steps into the light next, and who scrambles for the shadows they once called home.